Hello and welcome to the Rankers podcast, where we literally rank anything and everything. Just two best friends ranking it up. My name's Nick.
And my name is Jacob. Let's rank them.
Let's rank them. What's going on, Jacob? How you doing today?
I am doing good. Nick, I am doing great. I got my setup here ready to pod. How are you doing?
Doing good. You're always looking good with a closet behind you. For those who are just listening to us, you can go check us out on YouTube. But Jacob's just got this awesome closet behind him with shirts. It's good sound barrier for you, right?
Kind of. It is. Well, actually, most people think it's a real closet, but this is actually one of Apple's backdrop things that you can do with the thing. So I'm actually like sitting. No, this is my wife's closet, and it does help with sound. So you get to see all of her color-coded closet because she's awesome like that.
Well, dude, like I said, there's a viewing option of us. So we got YouTube going on. I also, obviously, ladies and gentlemen, listeners of the podcast, the Ranker fam, we just want to remind you guys that we are on social media. So hit us up on Instagram, hit us up on Twitter. We're on there as well. And if you want to just talk about things or whatever, you can email us at therankerspodcast@gmail.com. And yeah, dude, those are just some of our plugs, but I wanted to just go ahead. What?
Yeah, I want to celebrate something because by the time this episode drops, because we're this close, but we have reached 1,000 plays.
Oh yeah, dude, let's freaking go.
We have reached 1,000 plays, which what that means is that our podcast and whatever platform it's been listened to on or whatever has been played 1,000 times. And in retrospect, not that big of a deal, but for us and for where we are with this pod, that's a huge deal. And all of the credit goes to you guys, Ranker fam. We are so grateful for you guys listening and tuning in every other week with us. And we have no plans of stopping anytime soon. And we love doing this and we have fun. And we hope that you will continue to stay with us, and you'll go check out all of those plugs that Nick just mentioned if you have not already.
For sure. Yo, Jacob, what we ranking today, my guy?
So today we are jumping so with this pod, you guys know we jump into these different pools of genres because we're not kind of, sticking to just one thing. We tiptoe, right? And today we're jumping back in a familiar area for me and Nick, but we're in the music world of podcasting, and we are going to do top 5 guitar solos of all time. Top 5 guitar solos of all time. And this was a daunting list because not only are we doing just 5, but this list is so enormously big to choose from because there are so many amazing guitar solos out there. Did you have a difficult time putting this list together, Nick?
I did have a difficult time. And it's funny you mentioned that because literally I put like a artist to acknowledge outside of like the top 5 pretty much. And that list is even extensive. I mean, because also you made this point before we started the podcast that, you and I weren't specifically alive when a lot of these just well-known crazy guitar solos were happening like in the 70s and 80s. We were born in the late 90s, so we missed out on some of that, but it still lives on. And, some of these solos that I'm sure you and I have in both of our lists are just so well known that they're still played and listened to daily, Yeah. But yeah, so it definitely was hard to pick from because I looked up, what are just some of the all-time great solos, and all the list was like 100. I was like, yeah, I don't know about all this.
I gotta narrow this down. I'm just gonna go with 5.
Like what I know.
Well, that was gonna be my next point. Is this podcast, like all of our podcasts, I know we reiterate this every single episode, but this is subjective, and so this is not the top 5 best guitar solos of all time. This is me and Nick's top 5 favorite, or you could say we think is the best, whichever way you want to think of it. But we realize that there are probably guitar solos that are better than the ones that are on our top 5 as far as just like objectively, that's an amazing guitar solo. And we also recognize that we haven't listened to every single one of them. We just haven't. Also and so true. If something isn't on our list that you think should be, that's where we want you guys to come in, and we want you guys to let us know, because first of all, I just want to hear some good guitar solos that I haven't heard before. So I'd love to go back and listen to some that you guys suggest.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I feel like this is also a topic that people would have a strong opinion on. So I'm sure that there's some people out there that would love to tell us some that we missed. But hey, that's the beauty of it, of what we're doing, and
that's right,
ranking things for fun. So yeah, let us know, guys.
So music peeps, buckle up, because we're about to jump into this thing.
Buckle up. So how did you, let me ask you real quick, how did you kind of base your list?
Well, I didn't have a lot of criteria because it was such a giant pool to choose from. And since we did all time, a lot of it was going to be heavily in between the 70s and the early 2000s, I would say is the range that my list comes the most from. It was mostly based off of what a couple things for me. And this also comes from a guitar player standpoint. So Nick and I, we both play guitar.
Jacob is an amazing guitar player.
And no, shout out Nick is an amazing guitar player. But me and Nick, we both play guitar. So I'm coming from it from that angle as well, as like, all right, I know what it takes to make some of these sounds happen. Right. And so I did base it a little bit off of difficulty, but a lot of it, my main basis, I would say, was how much do I enjoy listening to this guitar solo, and what does it do for me as a listener? Does it transcend the song to where if the guitar solo was not in the song, would the song be any good? And I would say every single song on my top 5, if you take the guitar solo out, I don't think it's a good song. I'm just going to go ahead and say that. And that's not a knock on the vocalists and the writing and all of the other instruments, but these guitar solos completely drive these songs for me. And so I based it mostly off of what I loved to hear and like how often I'd go back and listen to it. And I'll just say one more other note before I pass it to you, Nick. For this is just for those of you who know me and you know how much of a John Mayer fan I am. I do believe that he is the greatest of all time. He's the greatest guitar player of all time. That's just my opinion.
Just stop listening to our podcast right there.
I know, drop. But I'll just go ahead and say that I did not include John Mayer on this list because
and they're back.
It's just, it's just too close. It's too personal. I would rather just do a top 5 John Mayer guitar solos list.
I think we'll do that.
I think we will too.
We'll do some sort of like John Mayer list.
So I did not include John Mayer, but Nick, how did you go about putting your list together?
I'm a big fan of John Mayer as well. Not as much as a fan as you are, but I mean, you can't go wrong with John Mayer, right? What can we say about it?
What can we say about John Mayer? I just saw him live like 2 weeks ago and I freaking lost my mind. But anyway, go ahead.
Oh, dude, that's awesome. No, it's actually interesting that you said that if you take the guitar solo out, it kind of takes away from these songs. I tend to, as much as I have trouble hearing lyrics sometimes, but I actually tend to be a fan of lyrics. So actually something that I did base my list off of was the meaning of the song, as well as having the guitar solo in it.
Okay.
Which is kind of funny that you said that. But I mean,
so we kind of have differing perspectives.
Yeah, a little bit. But I mean, we're here for the guitar solo, so like I'm not gonna be dissecting the song by any means. We're gonna be dissecting the solos, and like you said, also just you and I being a little bit musically, I did look at difficulty and just kind of like just the mad skill that is in some of these solos.
Yeah.
And I mean, I tried to also be versatile with my list.
Okay.
So I touched on maybe a little bit of like jazz and blues, and I touched on a little bit of like 70s and 80s mainly, and then a little bit of what you would say modern. But yeah, so I tried to be versatile. I tried to maybe look at the song as a whole and how much they kill it. But yeah, without further ado,
let's hear it. So why don't you go ahead and start us off with your number 5, Nick?
All right. So my number 5 is starting off with a just straight up classic. This one is by Jimmy Page, and it is Stairway to Heaven. It's an 8-minute song.
That's how long it takes to climb the stairs is what
exactly. I hear. Yeah, right. But I mean, obviously, so most solos and most of these songs are like more towards the end of the song.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a bridge, if you will, almost a lot of times with these solos.
Yeah. So just sorry, really quick. For those of you who don't know, Jimmy Page, that's Led Zeppelin. So Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin. If you don't know, I'm not trying to insult anybody. I just want to make sure we're on the same page there. Go ahead, Nick.
Thanks for that. Thanks for catching me on that.
Yeah, no worries. No worries.
Yeah. But this song is considered top 5 across the board, especially when I was looking at some of these top 100 lists. It's a song that I know. I grew up playing a lot of Guitar Hero. Did you ever play Guitar Hero growing up?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I played a ton of Guitar Hero growing up. Those of you who don't know, it's just like a video game that you literally had a real guitar and you were pressing buttons and acting like you were playing these like 70s and 80s rock out songs.
What a time it was when that swept the globe of just that took over all gaming systems. Everybody really was playing guitar.
Everybody Hero, was. But this was some nostalgia in the song. But I mean, looking at the lyrics as a whole, maybe I'm misinterpreting a little bit, but I mean, ultimately it's just talking about like death and how we encounter death and literally our stairway to heaven, right? It almost seems like it's a song of fear.
Sure.
But also, hey, let's live in harmony with each other. It's kind of a like we're all in this together type song.
Yeah, shout out to
High School Musical, our last pod.
Yeah.
But the solo itself it's just like it's classic, it's good, and like I alluded to it being kind of the bridge. It's the peak of the song. Obviously, it's the guitar solo, and they come back in like towards the end of the solo with more of a hype rock out voice opposed to what they've had towards the beginning. But yeah, so it's a good song and I like it. So Stairway to Heaven is my number 5. I think that's all I wanted to say about it.
That's a good pick. I don't hate that pick. It did not make my list. I did do a lot of research and saw that Stairway to Heaven was everywhere. Definitely held pretty high up as a song with a fantastic guitar solo. It was a little underwhelming for me. And I understand how that sounds. Like this is Jimmy Page is one of the greats. And I'm going to say that one of his solos was underwhelming. But for the context of me doing this list and what I enjoyed, it didn't hit particularly for me, but I do think it deserves to be an honorable mention. It's not on the list. Great song, great solo, great pick.
What's your number 5?
My number 5, I'll go ahead and say about my entire list. This is probably going to be pretty mainstream. I didn't dive super deep into a lot of the guitar players that I think are underrated. There is a couple of those on my list and stuff, but I didn't dive into too many detailed things because I knew that I would just talk ad nauseum about it and that it would be super technical and probably boring for most people to hear. So I think a lot of what's on my list, a lot of people will probably know, but that's not to say that this isn't my true list. Like this is true and everything. But my number 5 start now is a classic and not necessarily known for the guitar solo, but I think it should be a little bit. And my number 5 is Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen. And the guitar player is Brian May, who I will go ahead and say is my first underrated pick. I think that he gets credit, but I don't think he gets enough credit personally. And this solo in this song is a song that so many people know, but this guitar solo in this song is just so iconic and perfectly encapsulates what Brian May is able to do in the skills that he had. I made an interesting note when I was thinking about it, and one of the things that stuck out to me was this song is really, really hard to blend stuff with because of the uniqueness of the song. It's got to be one of those things that's difficult to just throw a guitar solo into the song. But Brian May was able to do that. And he was also able to complement Freddie Mercury's incredible vocals and writing and all that kind of stuff without like stealing the show. And so I do take back what I said earlier. This song, if you take away the guitar solo out of Bohemian Rhapsody, it's probably still a good song just because it's that crazy of a song.
So unique. Yeah.
But when I think about it even more, I'm like, I don't know though, because the guitar solo is almost this like symphony type of add-on to the song that it just really helps blend it together and helps bridge the gap between what was that kind of interesting breakdown that they have, and then how they end up ending the song. I just can't say enough about it. But Bohemian Rhapsody is my number 5.
That's a great pick. I might talk about it later. I might not.
Hey, we'll see.
Hey.
We'll see. Well, let's hear what your number 4 is, Nick.
All right. My number 4. So keep in mind that I said I wanted to be versatile with this list. And that was my goal with this pick.
Is this a Nick pick?
It might be a Nick pick. I don't know. Do you consider BB King a Nick pick?
Oh, no. BB King's not a Nick. No, BB King's one of the greats.
BB King is one of the greats, and that's why he made the list with Sweet Little Angel in his guitar solo in the song.
Yeah.
A lot of people, if you haven't heard of BB King, bro, go look him up. What are you doing? But this dude is arguably the king of blues. I mean, his singing, his guitar playing, he's got it all. And this song is one of his most well-known popular songs. It's a sweet little, 3-minute blues song. But it's just like, it's the peak of blues, I guess. And BB King is, to me. And also, what's the other song? Every Day I Have the Blues is also kind of an honorable mention for him.
Yeah. That's another really well-known BB King track right there for sure.
Yeah, but I actually do enjoy a little bit of jazz and blues music, and when I do listen to it, BB King is definitely up in there. But yeah, I have a ton of respect for it, and actually, again, I was touching on the meanings. This song was actually taken on an older song, Black Angel Blues. This was like BB King's take on it.
Yeah.
So it was more of like a rendition that ended up being obviously better, because nobody knows that when everybody knows BB King in this song, Sweet Little Angel. A lot of artists tried tackling it, but obviously he's the GOAT. He's just got insane talent. Like, I have so much respect for blues when it comes to music and being a musician, because blues is like, I don't know, blues and jazz is just like, when I think of like those hard chords, those like complicated, just like bends and everything like that, it's like jazz and blues is insane.
Yeah.
And also, like, I know obviously he's mainly blues, but he's also like, he had this awesome ability to like play jazz, blues, and rock all at the same time. I feel like he could just do it all. But yeah, I'm not saying I'm out here listening to BB King on my daily grind, but like, you can't go wrong listening to him. And this song is one of his best and one of his best solos. And it's just impressive. Very, very impressive. But yeah, that's number 4 for me.
Yeah, I love that pick. I'm so glad BB King made your list, because I think that just what he was able to do with that genre of music, and I don't think it is arguable. I think when it comes to blues, I think BB King is at the top. I think the name fits for sure. And it's such a unique style of playing, and it was like they looked at modern at the time, but it was like they looked at mainstream music and they were like, how can we just do this differently? And then out came blues and jazz, and blues is one of those types of genres that you like, you have such a big playground to play in. Like, you're not confined to all of these different things, and what they're able to do with bends and with these little tiny notes, and BB King is just like the king of that. And he was
also known for, like, people would just, wherever he would be, they'd just be like, oh, what key you playing? And he'd be like, A. Okay, I'll like stay in A, sort of, but like, and then he'll just go from there and go ham.
Yeah.
And like, also with the blues, you can play probably a wrong chord and it probably still sounds fine.
Oh yeah, because it's the blues. Yeah,
just
play the wrong note. It's no big deal. No, I like that pick. I like that pick for sure.
All right, we're on to your number 4.
All right, so my number 4, funny little fact, I just discovered this song yesterday, and I feel I feel really dumb. I was doing research and I kept seeing this song pop up on a lot of the research that I was doing. And I went and listened to it, and my mind was just flooded with just beauty, incredible shredding. No, actually, let me use a good guitar term. Let me use a good guitar term. My mind was not flooded. My face was literally melted in front of my screen as I was watching and listening to this. But my number 4 is Uncomfortably Numb by Pink Floyd. And if you are a music fan, go ahead and bring on your booze, because it's taken me so long to discover this song. I understand that this is very well known with Pink Floyd. I haven't listened to a ton of Pink Floyd. that's probably why I haven't discovered it.
And
But
this is
I
David
literally,
Gilmour.
yes, thank you. It is David Gilmour. Here's the thing. I have literally listened to this song maybe 5 times since I have discovered it. And it literally made my top 5 guitar solos of all time just in that 5. If you have not heard this song for whatever reason and you're a guitar fan, this is one of the greatest. So like if I had heard this song like 10 years ago, it would probably be higher up on my list. The only reason it's lower is because I haven't had the opportunity to soak in what and how incredible it is for as long as I have.
Guilty like hearing it for the first time for this
Yeah,
list and then putting it in.
It's so crazy, but it's like it's that good. And I put down a couple of reasons why. This may be one of, when I talk about the difference between my favorite guitar solos and the best, this may be one of the best, because the stuff that Gilmour does in this solo
one of the best.
Is incredible. And he does things with 16th notes and with triplets and bouncing back and forth between like rhythmic just ideas and different things that he does. It's insane what he's able to do. But I think the piece of this solo that does it for me, and this is so weird because I don't think about this as often as I do with how somebody plays, but the tone, the actual guitar tone that he has in this solo is just beautiful. And it has this way of cutting through without jumping too far ahead. It perfectly blends, but also transcends what the song is already doing.
It's like the number one thing we like to talk about is how good the guitar's tone is.
Yeah.
That's so true though. That song's, that solo has incredible tone. It's amazing.
And you want to talk about like writing and what the song means. I'm pretty sure they're talking about drugs and escaping through drugs and everything, but that's fine. It's the 70s. But like the writing of the song and the way that it flows together, it's so cinematic. And the way that he's actually got 2 solos in the song. He has one, and then there's some more music and lyrics, and then he has the second one at the end. And they're both so different, but they're both so good. I do prefer the second one, the way he goes out, the way he ends the song by just shredding it. And then they do that old school fade out where the song just fades out as they keep playing. Such a difficult thing to play. And the tone of it, I just can't say enough about it. Uncomfortably Numb, I was like, man, this might be my number 1. Like this song is crazy good.
It is crazy good. Yeah, well, Ranker fam, Jacob has a confession. He shared this on that I'm going to tell everyone, of course. He shared this on Instagram. So I happened to see it and I was like, this is probably going to be on his list because I know that we're ranking this.
I could not share it. I was like, I have to make sure everybody has heard this song.
I do not blame you at all. So I was expecting that to be on your list. But that's a great pick, and that solo is absolutely insane. And yeah, it really does. It just has a good sound, a good tone to it.
Yeah.
But that's a great pick.
Thanks. All right. Top 3.
Let's do it. Moving right along.
I wonder if we're going to have one that's going to blend.
Let's
see.
Maybe not. Well, this one is.
Okay.
Because Bohemian, I put that on my list.
Nice.
But yeah, so this is my number 3, Bohemian Rhapsody. It is. I chose it because the guitar throughout the whole song is what's good.
That's true. That's a good point.
He's going with the rhythm, the melody, but also making it his own, which you've kind of alluded to, and how he was able to orchestrate in just such a odd song, probably like the oddest song ever. Like it's got like multiple different sections, if you will, but also what's cool about the guitar in this song is that it's the foundation, like the interlude. So it's like you're like, as the voices and everything is changing, in the mood of the song, the guitar is providing that foundation in the interlude throughout the whole thing. And to me, that's impressive enough. Brian May was actually quoted saying that the guitar in this song is a voice, and that's how he viewed it.
Wow.
Yeah, which is kind of cool. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I was looking at meanings of the songs as well. A meaning to the song and trying to dissect Freddie Mercury is just a crazy thing in of itself. I know that they came out with a recent movie called Bohemian Rhapsody. I haven't seen it.
I did. I watched it.
Did you see it?
Yeah.
Did it actually like shine light on describing him and Queen at all? Probably. But
yeah, I mean, he was
definitely
he was
Hollywood.
he was a very interesting person, and I think this song is a very interesting song, and I think he is one of the most musically, just one of the most overall talented people who's ever lived. I think he was just absolutely incredible, and I think Bohemian Rhapsody was probably the most him that ever came out in a song, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I think that song is exactly who Freddie Mercury was, and it just shows in so many ways. It's incredible.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just a well-known classic, and it's crazy. And I mean, it's the guitar in it is crazy, and for that reason, it deserved to be in my top 5. And I also know it. You know, we just heard about this Pink Floyd song because I'm throwing myself under the bus. I also heard it for the first time when I saw you post it. But like that's not going to happen with a song like this because it's just so like worldly well known, and like the guitar in it, and Brian May does a great job. So that is my number 3.
I like it.
What
All right,
is your number 3?
My number 3 is probably the most mainstream pick that I have, but I just think it deserves to be in the top 5, and it's so good, it's so incredible, and it is Hotel California by the Ingles, and it is the Ingles.
By the Ingles. Hey, you know what's funny? You say that. I think I said tune when I meant tone earlier. Did that happen?
No, I don't think I heard you say tune.
I think I said tune instead of tone when I
did hear you say describe when you said describe Freddie Mercury. I think you said describe.
Describe.
Okay, all right.
So, Jacob, why don't you tell me your number 3?
All right, so my number 3 is probably the most mainstream pick on my list, but it deserves to be in the top 5. It's very well known. It's very well known for the guitar solo as well. But my number 3
Hotel California
is Hotel California.
No way, dude. That's crazy.
My number 3 is Hotel.
Just shooting in the dark.
You suck. I hate you. My number 3 is Hotel California by the Eagles, and it is it's actually 2 guitar players. It's Don Felder and Joe Walsh, and they both do it. And if you listen carefully, you can tell when they switch, and the switch in tones because they're playing different guitars and they have different styles.
Can I jump in and say that this is my number 2?
Oh, it is? Okay, cool.
Yeah,
cool.
Hotel California.
I was wondering. I thought if we had any overlap, it would be this song because this song, I just think it has to be. It has to be on the list. It absolutely does. It is freaking fantastic.
It's actually like I'm really not a 70s and 80s listener as a whole, but Hotel California is like actually on my like regular playlist out of like any 70s and 80s song. So like you can keep talking about it. I'll start talking about it too.
No, I was just gonna say I think that Don Felder does an amazing job. I prefer Joe Walsh and the way that he plays, and he actually has the quote unquote second part of the solo. Obviously, they both do the end where they're harmonizing guitars, which I want to say in
beautiful in of itself.
Right, and I want to say in that era that probably hadn't been done very much up to that point. I know it's been done a little bit more since, but my gracious, it's such a beautiful thing to listen to. It's still so satisfying every time I listen to it. But what I think is really beautiful about that solo is before that, which Don Felder does the very beginning of the solo with that come down from the top of the neck to from the bottom of the neck to the top, and then he hits that giant bend, which I can play the first part of the solo. I can't play the whole thing. I looked it up a long time ago and I can play it, but that bend is like a 4-note bend. Like if you play it just instead of bending it, if you just go up, you have to jump like 4 frets, but he bends that thing all the way up. And bending is hard. If you've ever tried to do it, guitar players out there listening.
I haven't tried to play Hotel California. I should.
It's fun. It's such a long solo though, because I could only get through like the first quarter.
Well, and the song literally, the solo starts and then the song fades out with it. So it's like there's nowhere else we're gonna go with this song because this solo and these guys harmonizing with their guitars is, we're gonna end it at that.
And to give a little credit to the Eagles as a whole, it's one of the weirdest, most bizarre chord progressions I've ever seen or ever heard.
I haven't looked up.
It's like, I don't want to get too technical because
go for it though.
We'll bore people, but it's like 8 different chords before it flips and repeats. It goes from major to minor. It's just look it up sometime. It's very, very cerebral. It's a very interesting type of guitar.
It's almost like it's complicated and impressive. That's why it's at the top.
Yeah, it's almost like it's incredible, which the Eagles are. And so, but yeah, Don Felder and Joe Walsh, I mean, they deserve all of the credit. This is just an incredible guitar solo, and I love, and I'll mention this when I spout off a couple honorable mentions later, but I am not the biggest fan of repetitive guitar solos. It doesn't, and not like I need to be impressed to like a guitar solo. That's not what I'm saying, but it doesn't stick out or impress me as much when you do a whole bunch of the same thing just really, really fast. And I'm going to mention one guitar solo in particular that would probably make a lot of people's top 5. But that I just don't think is as impressive as people say. Anyway, whatever. But I'm more impressed when you can tell an entire story through a guitar solo, and you can do so many different things. And I think, obviously, I know that the ending is repetitive with the harmonizing. I understand that, but all before that, I think is just really impressive. That's why it's number 3. And what about you, Nick? What are some of your thoughts?
I would agree. When I think of a guitar solo, this is honestly like, this was the first song that came to mind actually when we talked about doing this podcast. It's what I think. And as far as like, I'm not like the biggest rock and roll type, like, guitar solo, like head banging solo.
Right.
Like sometimes maybe, but like this is more of like a guitar solo that's not as all up in your face, but also just great at the same time. And as far as like the song goes, it's what they view as the American dream, if you will, like the excessive American dream, because when I was looking at just kind of the story behind it, they grew up, like fairly middle class or whatever. So this was kind of their picture of like what it's like to live high rolling, California type vibes.
Right.
So it just gives you that like, man, I got my shades on, like this guy's killing the guitar, like let's go,
Yeah. It's such a great song. Yeah.
I don't know what I'm saying anymore, but Hotel California is literally the best. I put 1959 Les Paul Gang, and that's beautiful. I don't know. I just put that in my notes.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, if you try to like a vintage, like an actual like mint condition vintage 1959 Les Paul is like $20,000. It's an insanely expensive guitar,
and it's beautiful tone.
Beautiful tone there.
Fun note about this song, if a lot of people probably know this already, but the drummer sings and plays the song, which is also pretty impressive in my opinion.
Yes. What's his name? It's escaping me. I'm gonna.
Yeah, we'll get shot for it later.
I think that like, we'll get, we can check out anytime we like, but we can never leave.
Jeez.
Sorry.
But yeah, so Hotel California was my number 2 and your number 3.
Yes.
So now we're at your number 2.
Yes. Yeah. My number 2, this is a very personal pick. This is one of my favorite guitar solos of all time, but it probably wouldn't make a lot of people's top 5. But this song is called Alive by Pearl Jam. And it is by Mike McReady. I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
I know this one? This might be the first one that you're saying that I don't know.
Oh my gosh, dude. You've got to listen to this song. Well, the intro of the song is a really good guitar hook, but this isn't an intros podcast. But I'll go ahead and note. So the song's fairly long, and this doesn't sound like a lot, but if you think about it in terms of a guitar solo, he solos for roughly 2 minutes straight without stopping, like 2 full minutes, which in guitar solo time is a long time. I don't think the Hotel California solo is I think it's only like over a minute or a minute and a half. If you count the fade out, it may be a little bit longer.
But then they start to get repetitive.
But also the time signature of this song is really fast, and they continue to get fast throughout the song, and just like, and that's what I love about this guitar solo is he doesn't repeat anything.
Does the time signature change?
No, I don't think it changes, but they definitely weren't constrained to one like BPM. Like
They
they
weren't on the click or
definitely
nothing.
they were feeling it at the end, and the drummer was like, "We're just gonna keep freaking going, man."
Yeah, they weren't on the same click from the beginning.
No, they weren't doing the intro to ready go for all of you, all of our worship peeps out there. But no, it's just an incredible guitar solo. If you haven't listened to it, go and listen to it. It may be a Jake take, but it's really personal. He doesn't repeat himself a bunch. He creates these new sounds throughout the whole entire thing. I think Mike, I'm going to pronounce it McReady. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. I think he is very, very underrated as a guitar player. Pearl Jam's guitarist is fantastic. If you go and listen to a lot of their licks and a lot of their solos and a lot of the different things, Pearl Jam has some amazing guitar stuff.
Pearl Jam.
You probably have. There's probably a couple songs by Pearl Jam.
I probably even heard the song.
Pearl Jam is more 90s though. So Pearl Jam was kind of in a weird era of rock music when it was kind of on a down and like the techno stuff was coming back into play with the 90s, and hip hop was making more of a, so they were kind of in a weird time there with like Nirvana
Backstreet
and
Boys
stuff.
Owned that time. What are you talking
That's
about?
right. Yeah, they were competing with the freaking Backstreet Boys. Hey, shout out to the Backstreet Boys. I used to listen to them all the time. But no, Alive is my number 2. I won't spend too much time on it, but definitely go listen to it if you haven't. It is
I will.
Incredible guitar solo.
Word.
All right. Number 1.
Numero uno.
I'm really curious. I think I know what it's gonna be, because you mentioned off air that you were gonna just go ahead and say it, because I love you already, but go ahead and say it.
My number 1 is a song that has been in my playlist since I started listening to music on my own. So like, I don't know, elementary school, middle school, who knows? Somewhere around there. This song has been on my list, and I listen to it probably weekly ever since then. And it is Gravity by John Mayer, the live version. Yeah, they gotta go with the live version. Yeah, this is definitely probably a nitpick, because we're out here like talking about the best of all time, and I'm just like, hey, here's some John Mayer for my number 1.
Yeah, and the actual solo on the recording track is like 20 seconds long, I think. Maybe it's a very short solo.
Yeah, you gotta listen to the live.
But it is incredible.
Oh no, it's incredible, no doubt. It kind of like what I said about BB King. I enjoy a little bit of my jazz type feel, and like, I mean, John Mayer isn't necessarily jazz, he is, but when we're talking about like tone and just like smooth playing, like John Mayer is that, and he's also in modern day. So this is my modern day pick, and being versatile as well. But overall, I mean, Gravity is one of my favorite songs, the live version by John Mayer. And one of the things that I actually do like about he's obviously playing throughout the whole thing, and singing, but towards the end is kind of like when the solo is, and where I like view like the height of it, and what like really gets me like, oh, this is awesome, this is like the best, is when he's playing a melody of like the chorus while doing the guitar solo. And that, like, I've heard different opinions on playing melody with your guitar. We're trying to do a solo or whatever, but like, I love it. And I think he like does a great job of building it up and also like bringing it back down. That's kind of John Mayer's style. I'm also a big fan of just dynamics in a song.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's fantastic at having dynamics in a song, of just being really quiet and bringing it up. It's like, it's almost like telling like a story and playing with emotions more in a song. If you're just like in your face the whole time, like, it's like, I get it, you know, or if you're just quiet too much, it's like, I don't know what's going on anymore, I'm bored. But he really has like a healthy mix, especially with this song live. He just has the dynamics, and he's just got it all in this song. But yeah, I love this song, and I just love that he made it his own, you know. And he also, the solo starts out with him messing around with the whammy. You feel like he's just having fun with it. I wonder how much like he actually just like randomly did in this. But like, it's just John Mayer at his best. And Gravity is one of my favorite songs, and he's got the whammy and he's just having fun. But yeah, that's what I got to say about it. You can probably shine light on it because John Mayer is your favorite artist of all time.
Well, yeah. I mean, not only is he my favorite artist, but like I said, I also think he's the greatest guitar player ever. So
well, there you go.
what's really interesting is I just saw him live like 2 weeks ago in Atlanta,
Yeah.
and what he does with Gravity is he plays Gravity every single concert, and it's always the last
He's
song that
probably
he
so
plays.
sick of it though.
Well, but here's the thing, but it's always the last song that he plays, and he
Uh,
solos for like 9 minutes on it. He just it's
Jeez.
insane. And I literally, so this is dramatic.
You cried.
I did. I wept like 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 John 11
I'm
verse
dead.
35. Jacob wept is what happened. I literally, like, it was just incredible.
Uh,
And I'm not going to turn this into that. I'll move on, but
I
I
could just
don't.
see you like squirming the whole time I'm trying to talk about it, and you're over there like, it's amazing.
Like, you don't even know.
I won't talk
No.
about this. We have to do a whole podcast on it.
Yeah, no, we do. It's probably not my favorite solo by him. I have some others that I like,
Yeah.
just in my opinion and personal taste. But no, that solo live and how far he takes it and what he does,
Yeah.
it's like nothing I've ever seen in my
It's a
entire
good
life. It's
tone.
incredible. Oh yeah. Oh, the tone is there for sure.
That
And
PRS life.
to your point on, guitar players doing the melody as their solo, I love that.
Yeah, I do too.
One of my honorable mentions is Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana, and that's literally all the solo is. He just plays the
Mm,
melody of the chorus in the guitar solo, but I just think it's great. And yeah,
yeah. Thank you
Nick,
for supporting me in that
there's
number
nothing
one.
I hate about that pick at all.
All right, bro. Let's get to it. What is your number one?
All right, so my number one, when we came up with the idea to do this list, I was pretty positive that it was going to be my number one, but I still did
Mm,
some more research and I listened to it a couple more times, and I was right. It's still my number one, and my number one guitar solo of all time is "Sweet Child of Mine" by Guns N' Roses, and
mm,
this is a little bit mainstream, I understand, but here's why it's number one for me. I think that Slash is one of the greats. I think he's up there. I think he would piss a lot of people off when he would get drunk before they played live, and then he would sound terrible because he was so wasted. I've heard stories about that, and you can look things up on YouTube, but I'm not going to judge anybody. I'm just going to say that when he was fully functioning, I think he's one of the best guitar players ever.
yeah.
He obviously has a signature sound and a signature guitar and definitely a signature look. But this is one of those songs where if you take this guitar solo out, it is definitely not nearly as good of a song. And that's not a knock on Axl Rose, who is an incredible frontman and an incredible vocalist, and the rest of the band. But this solo, it's like three different solos in one. I mean, he takes this solo to so many different levels. And when he does, my favorite part is when he does the sort of, when they transition the chords that they're playing, the progression, into a different progression. And in between those two progressions, he does this run where he runs from the top E string or the low E string to the high E
Yeah.
string, and he goes all the way down the neck, and it's just this incredible build while the drums are building and everything. And I love the part at the end where Axl is singing this note and then Slash is matching his vocal note with his bend that he's
With the
doing.
guitar.
They're doing the
Yeah.
same note, which is just speaks to Axl's vocal range, which is
You're right.
insane. He literally just
When you're
screams.
down the neck hitting the note. And
Yeah,
yeah.
for real. But Slash acts, he steals the show in this song with this solo, and it just continues to build and build upon itself, and everything he starts with, he just transcends it by the very next note. He does amazing bends, he's doing amazing rhythmic stuff with what he's doing in the guitar solo.
Mm,
And it just, personally, it's my favorite guitar solo of all time. I think it's definitely one of the best as well, and I just love
it
it. That's
is.
why
Yeah.
it's my number one.
Yeah. It was one that I actually thought about and went back and listened to because I was like, what is this? Oh, yeah. Yeah. But yeah, no, that is a great pick. Slash, on my honorable mentions, that's for sure.
Yeah.
At least artists to acknowledge. But yeah, no, that's great. Speaking of that, I guess I can maybe just shout out some. I did artists to acknowledge. Yeah, did you do like honorable mentions as a whole?
Yeah, I kind of did some honorable mentions, like different guitar solos. Why don't, before you get to your honorable mentions, why don't you just run through your list really quick one more
Yeah.
time, and then I'll
So
do
I
the
had
same.
Stairway to Heaven, Jimmy Page, Sweet Little Angel, BB King, Bohemian Rhapsody, Brian May, Hotel California, kind of had a duo going on there, but then we also had Gravity, John Mayer.
Nice. Yeah. So I had Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen. That's Brian May at my number 5. Uncomfortably Numb by Pink Floyd. That's David Gilmour. That was my number 4. Hotel California was number 3. The Eagles, Don Felder and Joe Walsh. And then number 2, I had Alive by Pearl Jam with Mike McReady. And then my number 1 was Sweet Child of Mine, which is Guns N' Roses, and of course Slash. So let's hear a couple acknowledgements or mentions.
Artist to acknowledge for me was Slash, Guns N' Roses, Jimi Hendrix, Van Halen, Eddie Van Halen, and then Leonard Skinner. Also had Prince on there, Eric Clapton with the Beatles, and Carlos Santana. Just some all-time greats.
Did you
gotta put them out there?
Did you say Eric Clapton and the Beatles separately?
No, I said, well, are we going there?
What are you talking about?
No, I was saying Eric Clapton and the Beatles. Yeah.
Like, are you saying Eric Clapton is a part of the Beatles?
Is he not?
No.
Oh.
No.
Okay, then I put Eric Clapton and the Beatles. I have them next to each other.
Okay. Are you being serious right now?
Dude, you think I listen to Eric Clapton? You have to take this out now.
I do. That's a, like, you don't know who the Beatles are? Like,
yes, I know who the Beatles are.
Paul McCartney and
yes,
Ringo Starr and those guys.
I just was reading my list, bro, and I had Eric Clapton and I had Dash the Beatles. I just must have put them next to each other.
It's okay. I'll cut it out. I'm not
okay.
I'm not trying to dog on you. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I'm gonna start my freaking list again then.
Okay. All right, let's all right, Nick, why don't you go ahead and do some of your honorable mentions?
Yeah, so I mean, artists to acknowledge, obviously, I had Slash and Guns N' Roses on here because that's what you just talked about. I had Jimi Hendrix on here, Eddie Van Halen. Then I had some Leonard Skinner, and I had Prince, and then also had Carlos Santana. So there's just some all-time greats that I put on there that, felt like I couldn't go without.
Yeah, nice. I like those a lot. I'm going to do really, really quick. So one of my honorable mentions is Freebird by Leonard Skinner, which you mentioned, Leonard Skinner. Yeah. And that was the one I was referring to. That is an incredible solo. I'm not going to deny that at all. But the reason it didn't make my list is because it is a lot of repeating. In my opinion, they play a lot of the same thing over and over again, and they just play it really fast. And I know that takes a lot of skill. I'm not trying to take away from it, but personally, what I like in guitar solos, that was just a little bit different. Let's see. Yeah, you mentioned Eddie Van Halen. It's fantastic. He literally created a way of playing guitar that nobody had done before, and he's fantastic. Let's see. I had Randy Rhoads was on there. He's he was kind of solo, but he is best known for Crazy Train with oh my gosh, I can't freaking remember his name. I'm gonna cut that out too.
Homeboy that's on American Idol.
No. What are you talking about?
Yeah, wasn't he the judge on American Idol?
No, are you talking about freaking what in the world is his name?
Yeah, I am. Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah. He was not a judge on American Idol.
I thought he was. He was a judge on American Idol.
Really? Sharon. Oh, okay. All right, just to keep going here. I've got a couple more. Cliffs of Dover by Eric Johnson. Is that whole song is a guitar solo. It doesn't have any lyrics in it. It's not my favorite, but it's on there. I did have Jimmy Page, Led Zeppelin on there as one of mine. Stairway to Heaven is a good one. And yeah, and Nirvana, Smells Like Teen Spirit is up there for me. I like that. BB King is definitely an honorable mention. Angus Young does a lot of amazing stuff, and I won't keep going, but there's a ton. There's millions. Prince is amazing as well. So yeah,
facts.
That's it, peeps.
Good list.
Yeah,
that
good little fun list. I enjoyed that.
That was a fun list. I enjoyed that.
Thank you for indulging on me and Nick getting to nerd out a little bit with music. That's we enjoyed doing
and also
that.
One that like we had to do a little bit of research on because hashtag 2000s kids.
Yeah, hashtag we're super young. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. But yeah, man. This has been a good podcast, Jacob. I enjoyed this. Again, if you guys want to just hit us up and let us know what you thought, and maybe some guitar solos that we missed, let us know. But yeah, this has been the Rankers Podcast. This was awesome, and peace out. We'll catch you in the next one.
All right, see you, Ranker fam.